was not allowed to ascend back to No, to the presence of Ben, and become one with her. So Jonathan, who had died before David, has served as David's guide and would help direct his incarnations over the past 3,300 years. Now remember, the oversoul of David continuously resided in the higher astral realm, and he was there, as I've been told by David, by himself in isolation, and was told that he could not be released until after he had Malkuth would be burned, and that he had to continuously only incarnate in Malkuth. All of the 23 incarnations of David, I was the 23rd, have all been in Malkuth. And if you look back at the graph, you'll see that that is very rare. Only 20% of the Oversoul's offspring ever incarnate in this realm of Malkuth. And every time David had created an incarnation soul out of himself, it was always sent down to Malkuth. And that was his, I guess, way of atoning for what he had done. But Jonathan was his guide, and Jonathan was of the soul of Sav. And between, over the last 3,300 years, Jonathan has been guiding the offspring of David down to Malkuth to experience their lives, and then bringing them back up to the presence of David, where they became one with him. And the memories of these lifetimes were brought back to his oneness. And again, I did not understand all of this. In fact, I have to be honest with you, before 6 months ago, I had no idea about the soul of Ben. I had no idea about any of this. This has all been told to me. I did know about the name David, but I didn't know about the rest of it. And my grandfather was an incarnation of Jonathan and has been serving as David's guide until David was able to be released from this astral realm and brought back into the presence of Ben. But this is not going to happen. Actually, what has happened is, over the past 6 months, through communications, all of the offspring of Group 4 are not going to be stripped of their individuality like the offsprings of Groups 1 through 3 have been. All of the incarnations that have been brought into oneness of the 22 of Group 4 are going to be released, and each of them are going to be given eternal life as a soul for worlds without end. And that is something that Group 4 has decided. And I believe they've known this was going to happen for a long time, or sensed it. I have been told that it was prophesied, and that is one reason why Christians and Jews believe in a resurrection. This is all part of our group, Group 4. And they knew this, it was prophesied, I guess, in angelic realms that this would happen. I don't think they set out with the intention of it happening, I'm not sure, but it is how it's going to happen. So every soul that has ever been an offspring, an incarnation of any of the 22, including the 23 incarnations of Ben that were from David. David had incarnated 22 more times in the astral realms into Malkuth. Every one of these incarnations are separate souls and are going to be released from the oneness of their oversouls and given eternal life as individuals. And this is part of the resurrection. And I was told again that in Malkuth that the date is December 21st, 2012. And that is one reason why also in the Mayan calendar and in many cultures that is the date that was set. And I know this was a lot to take in, and I also realized that this is may seem to some people very odd. I am going to share it though. There is no way that I could receive these communications without sharing them with the rest of everybody. In fact, that's the whole entire purpose of it. I wanted to just also relate briefly the process by which I do this. I have had psychic experiences throughout my life, off and on, but one of the ways I do it, it mimics that of automatic writing, if you're familiar with that, except for I do not take a pen and a piece of paper and write. I used to communicate with my grandfather before I realized he was Jonathan, and before I even understood all of these things. Well, it started off with a board, a Ouija board, and I would put my hands on the plank, on the mallet, and it just moves. When I ask a question, yes or no, it moves to the right for yes and the left for no. And I have become very good at it that I don't even realize what's happening. And I was told that in actuality, they are not moving it. It's an automatic response, and I was told that we all hear their thoughts. They communicate with us all the time with thoughts. And I was told that we dismiss those thoughts a lot of times as our own. And we hear it because we are all souls incarnate, and the soul communicates telepathically. Just because we're incarnate and engulfed in our senses doesn't mean that we don't have the same innate abilities as all souls and angel souls, which are the same thing. So we hear it, but we don't necessarily recognize it. I ask a question, and intuitively my hand will move either to the left or to the right for yes or no. And it's so overwhelming that I don't even know how it's happening. It does. And they said it's because I intuitively hear it, and it's like an automatic response. With the names, it's become somewhat tedious for me. I wish I was more psychic. I wish I could hear them vocally or see them, but I can't. I can feel them touch my face. I can feel them touch my head. I can ask questions, and my hands will respond automatically to yes or no. And with the names, I will ask them, does the first word is it a vowel? And then I'll go through the vowels, and I'll ask them if the next is a consonant. And I go through the letters one at a time, and it can be kind of tedious, but I am so grateful for their patience. And all of the things that they have taught me over the last 6 months, I have not been sharing it with anybody until the last week, and I can't keep it in. I have to share it, and I hope that that in spite of any ridicule, that it will come into the hands of people who it needs to come into. So, anyways, this is Dane. I call myself Dane. I am David separate. And I hope that you have learned something from today's video. I also want to briefly apologize that I don't write a script for these little videos that I'm doing now. I just tell you the conversations that I've had with them. And anything that I ever receive, I will share with you, and I hope that someone out there finds it useful. Thank you. And before I close, I must add this. This is from the 22 Oversouls of Group 4, and also from Christ, who was the only begotten of the Oversoul Czech, who had ascended about 900 years before Christ was born. They want me to tell you that they love you, and that they are aware of us, and they see us, and that they are waiting for us for Beyond Malkuth. And this is a very exciting time for both them and us. They love us, and they want me to tell you that. Thank you.